Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, doggies, cats, animals, species of all ages. LightsThunderAction is back in full force on today's episode 70. Friend of the show, Rodney Fyke, joins us to talk about Roadkill Rampage number 2, and he's joining myself to dive a little deeper into the news. We'll be on right after this song.
Walking down the street, chickens blowing kisses. Never thought I'd end up 28 without a missus. Yet here we are, yeah, it's totally a thing. Making this movie about my life in quarantine. Started out hype, living life as a pirate. Then it got eclectic as time began to riot. Filmed my thoughts, what a terrible idea. Had a party over Zoom and got diarrhea. Ran out of toilet paper, life felt like forfeit. Turn on the news, an invasion of hornets. That's when it really truly started to unravel. I truly wish I could go motherfracking travel like toilet paper Jesus. Toilet paper Jesus. Toilet paper Jesus. Toilet paper Jesus. I wanna be a vagabond, maybe I'm a Cylon. I should have killed them hornets with the motherfracking mask on. Covered in ketchup, man, I think I messed up. Need a therapist that will help me fill my loving cup. No, not with beer, they really need to steer this conversation with myself a light year away from beer that need to poop and seize us. Sorry socks, it don't please us. Holy fracking crap, is that toilet paper Jesus? Toilet paper Jesus. 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 Toilet paper Jesus.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday, October 23rd, 2021. Welcome to episode 70 of Lights Thunder Action, where every week two Thunder buddies discuss all things Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. I'm Thomas Carter Rochester. No David Thompson this week. He's off training the next LeBron James. Coming up on today's show, we will dive into some of the news from the past month and talk to Roadkill Rampage number 2 writer Rodney Fyke, returning friend of the show, Rodney Fyke, excuse me. But before we bring him on, let's go ahead and knock out some of the housekeeping. As you know, every week we are live beaming directly into your homes and phones via our LightsThunderAction Facebook and Twitter and the HWWS WebTV channel on YouTube and Twitch. All of those links can be found at Linktr.com/LightsThunderAction. There it is. I forgot how to read, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow to view the live version of our show where you can interact with us. But if you don't want to look at my ugly mug right now, then you can listen to our beautiful voices on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, wherever you get your podcasts. And again, please follow and subscribe on those platforms. Leave us a 5-star review if you're feeling extra generous. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us get a little bit further out there in the world. Now, you didn't come here to listen to me jabber on to myself like I was at home alone. No, now, comic book writer, artist, and beautiful son of a calf hound, Rodney Fyke! Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot my sound effects. Where's my audience? Oh, yes. Flourish. How you doing, Rodney? It's been like a year and a half, I think.
Yeah, has it been a year and a half? No, it's been a while. It's been a while. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm alive. You know what I'm saying? We're here. We're at LightsThunderAction LITE podcast today.
There we go.
You know, David's off being a teacher and basketball coach, so it's left to me to run the whole shebang. We should all be worried. But I'm excited because you're here, and we get to talk a little bit more about Roadkill Rampage number 2. For those of you who are just joining the podcast, I want to say it was somewhere in the 20s, episode 20-ish, I think. Rodney and Eamon came on and discussed Roadkill Rampage number 1, which David and myself, got to read a little bit ahead of time. This time, I'm going into this interview with no idea what's happening in the sequel issue. So I'm very excited to kind of ask all the questions that have been popped up in my head. But before we get to Roadkill Rampage, Rodney, how's life been in the last year? Like, what you been up to? What you been watching? What you been living with?
You know, it's been a year of creativity. A lot of work. My wife and I both continued to work throughout the pandemic, and also it was kind of a fortuitous thing for us, the pandemic, because we had books done and ready to go to shows, and then there were no shows, and we had bills from those books. So then we all of a sudden had to scramble, and in doing so, we came up with a online presence, which we hadn't really had up to that point. And so with myself and Sean Forney, we do the Thursday night throwdown and the Friday night draw. And then I stream every morning at 11 o'clock and just do like a 40 minute warm-up sketch we're working on, commission or something. Okay. But it got us out online and doing things, and we got the website built correctly and working and functional. So it was a good thing for us. And then we discovered that we took the plunge into Kickstarter, and we did the first Kickstarter with Roadkill Rampage issue 1. Which was successful. And then we did a second Kickstarter with Pitter Patter issues 1 and 2, which was successful again. And we are currently running the campaign for issue 2, Roadkill Rampage, which funded within 24 hours. And so we've got like 27 days left. And so we're on the circuit again, pimping it out and just talking about our wares and what we're doing. So yeah, it's been a very busy year.
You have been very busy. I've been following along, on the social medias, and it's good to see that, your art and your creativity is being accepted by the world and things are getting funded the way they are. It gives hope for the little guys, out here in the world like myself. Very exciting.
You've been busy as well, man. I've seen you doing a thing or two. You filmed a movie or two.
Yes, that's true. I have filmed a movie or 2 or 5. Always staying busy. You know how it is. It's been a year of creativity for me as well, whether it be on set, working on music, or writing scripts that may or may not ever see the light of day, things of that nature. Just trying to build and create as much as possible, because if I'm not creating, I'm probably destroying. So I'd rather create.
I wouldn't know what else to do. Every once in a while, we entertain the thought of, what if we just don't do this anymore? Just relax, work our jobs, and come home and relax. And I think to myself, I don't know how I could handle. I don't know if I could handle that. Because I don't drink, I don't chase women, I don't do drugs. I create.
Yeah.
I'm too old and crickety to play sports, so it's
I'm getting there.
We are blessed to be able to do what we love.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump in a little bit more about Roadkill Rampage issue number 2. Issue number 1 really blew me away with how dark and gritty it was. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is the synopsis, if you will, of issue number 2. Roadkill Rampage issue number 2 is a mature horror tale following the journey of Tess after the horrific events of the first issue. Now alone, she ventures further into the forest, crossing paths with a group of guys that are linked to something more sinister than she could ever possibly imagine. Along the way, she finds an injured dog, and while trying to get help, she uncovers that there is more going on than just a dog left on the side of the road. Faced with more questions than answers, she continues her quest to unravel exactly what the guys are up to and what evil lurks within the forest. Holy shnikes, does that sound really good. Now, how far out have you planned? I remember last time we spoke, you had discussed, you were a couple issues ahead in your mind. About how far ahead are you now?
Issue 3 is done. It's written. Sean doesn't have the script yet. It's done. It needs one more pass through. It's had a couple of pass throughs with the editor Casey Pierce.
Okay.
But I just need to go one more read through to make sure everything's copacetic. But that's done, and I'm already chewing on how I'm going to wrap it up with issue 4.
So it's going to end in issue 4.
Yeah, it's a 4-issue series, miniseries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. I don't even remember the guy's name from the first one now. Ace. Thank you. It was something simple and also just didn't sound like a nice guy.
Just dickish.
he was a very dickish, always running people over with running animals over with his car. You hate to see it. So where does issue 2 start directly where issue 1 ended, like right at that same moment, or is there a mild time gap of minutes?
Yeah, there's a mild time gap. Issue 2 picks up with Tess now alone in the forest, and she's trying to find her way back home, and in doing so, like the preview said, she stumbles across an injured dog. So she tries to takes the dog to try to get the dog some help. And in doing so, she stumbles across an old veterinarian out in the middle of the forest. She has a conversation with the veterinarian, and he informs her that there's been some really eerie and strange things going on with the animals in the forest. So Tess, being a young woman in a horror story, does what every young woman in a horror story does. She goes back to the basement or back to the cemetery to investigate. So she winds back up at the farm where she finds this dog, and in doing so, she quickly realizes that she's kicked the proverbial hornet's nest. And when she kicks that hornet's nest, she finds out that evil comes in many different forms. So with issue 2, we find out if she will succumb to the evil that is now pursuing her, or if she will emerge victorious and make it to issue 3.
So there is a chance that Tess doesn't even make it to the next issue.
There is a chance that she's dragged off into the forest.
Ooh, wow. And not the fun indoor forest, kids. No one wants to. I mean, I don't know if I want to go to the indoor forest either. They might eat me.
It's not the 100-acre woods, Christopher Robin.
That is glorious. So tell us about this veterinarian. How long has he been... can you say how long he's been hanging about them woods?
We can talk about him I can give you only so much.
Of course.
All will be revealed with him in issue 3. But he is basically a source of knowledge for her, that he's a tool. That's his purpose in this issue. And we will find out how long he's been out there and what exactly he's doing.
Ooh, okay. I like that he's.
Yeah, he might be doing a little more than fixing up animals.
You know, I had this feeling that you were going to say something like that. I really enjoy the idea that, you know, he is, at least in this issue, he is the mentor. He is the sage, kind of passing on that knowledge in the hero's journey of Tess. Who do you introduce any new characters in this? I see this beautiful piece of art about our visual audience. Who else might pop up in this issue? Excuse me.
There are a group of guys that we introduce in the issue, and they're pretty much what you would expect. You know, they're basically the bad guys for this issue. They serve a purpose, but in serving a purpose, you also realize that they're linked to what's going on in the forest. You might not necessarily find out how and why, but that there's more to them than meets the eye. So this is my setup issue. Really, kind of intentionally, unintentionally. There we go. We've got Cletus, Bobby, and Gus right there in the old truck. But this is my setup issue. I kind of unintentionally, intentionally raised more questions than gave more answers in this book.
Ooh.
And I just feel that the pacing of it was just fun. This is the frustration issue where it drags you along by the shirt through the creepy forest and scares you here and there, and it doesn't give you any. It doesn't give you any information. It gives you enough information to you can't wait to buy issue 3. And
I mean, I'm sold.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's, you know, this is my first foray into the horror genre, and I'm having so much fun with it. Just putting it together in my head. It was the sequences in issue 1 were so vivid in my head. Writing it and trying to, I had to really pull myself back with the artist because they were like, hey, you know, I can create too, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm really kind of handcuffing guys when I tell them I want this and I want that. So I kind of had to come to an agreement. It's like, okay, you can do it, but there are a couple of instances in each issue where I want this specifically, this camera angle, this point of view, and stuff like that. And then I, you know, with issue 2 with new artist Sean Langley, I just kind of let him go. I gave him a couple of things that I wanted done a certain way, and he did them. But yeah, it's really fun seeing the pages come alive, and getting the entire issue. Once you get the entire issue, going through it and matching it up with what you wrote out, and then changing things here and there, and editing stuff here and there, and just watching it all build and come together, and finding out that I'm just as frustrated with the issue as you all are going to be, because it's going to tickle your chin, and it's going to give you very little, but it's going to leave you very wanting for the next issue, which to me means I've done the perfect job of bringing you back for more. Leaving you wanting more.
Yes, absolutely. And October 20th was the first day it was on, correct? The Kickstarter started? Yeah. And it's already funded.
Yeah, it funded in 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, that was awesome. We were very happy with that. Hey, William's in the house. What's up, William?
Hello, William. Where are we at? Comments. Hey, William Pace, you're looking great. I don't know what you look like, but I'm making a large assumption here. Okay, so I'm trying not to ask like questions that would be like, I can't answer that, because that's how storytelling works. Let me think really quick. So how long did it take to, here is a good question, from the start, the idea of issue 1 till the completion of issue 1? Is it just as long, or is as you've gone on through the story and as you're creating, was it faster to work through issue 2, faster to work through 3, etc.?
It's funny because issue 1 started with a short story. It was a 1 page of notes, and from that 1 page of notes, I took it and I wrote the script for issue 1. And then I gave it to Amon, and he did it. I'd say it probably took him maybe six months, but that was the pandemic hit and everything kind of skidded to a halt. So that kind of cost us probably 8 or 9 weeks there with his production, because he's a tattoo artist as well, so he was having to deal with the social distancing issues and having to go to work and all of that.
Yeah.
So he bowed out for a little bit, and then ultimately bowed out for good, because he wanted to concentrate on being a tattoo artist, which was fine. It happens.
Gotta make up for what you lost during the pandemic, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So the issue 2 came along much quicker. We got the script. The script came pretty quickly. There were a few areas where I wasn't sure, because there's so much in my head, and I have to edit myself, because I have to decide what's really pertinent and what's just dressing, and which as a writer, and this as a writer, you want everything in there, but
yes,
you can't put everything in there. So there was a lot of trimming down and cutting out and rewording and this and that and the other for the sake of space. And issue 3 is like my Empire Strikes Back. There's a lot of stuff going on in issue 3. Ooh. And that's been the most challenging issue so far, because there's a lot of reveal going on in issue 3, and a lot of questions are answered. But I had to do a little more research to make sure that I was being factually accurate with what I was doing. And I was off a little bit, so I had to go back and rework a couple of things. And then again, I can't do this. This is too much. I have to take this stuff and move it over here, and maybe we can squeeze it in issue 4. If not, just let it go. And that's one thing. I always read it growing up. Jim Shooter's famous quote, and I'm not quoting it exactly, but it's just the biggest challenge is just to get the issue done and get to a point where you can let it go and move on to the next one. And I found that I've had to do that, because this is up until this point, my books have been peanut pudding and jelly and pitter patter, all ages books where continuity is not really that big of a deal. But with this, the horror story, everything's very important. The pacing, the mood, the situations, and then, the tease, and, and what I reveal, how I reveal it, and making sure I don't reveal the wrong things at the wrong time. Because I want to tease everybody, and I want everybody to be anticipating the next issue. I think I've done that. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, to answer the initial question, yes, issue 2 happened a lot quicker than issue 1. And hopefully issue 3 will happen quicker than issue 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you always hope, is that you do one thing and then you kind of eventually find a groove that just kind of works out a little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, you said Sean Langley has come on as the artist. How long have you known Sean, and how did y'all meet?
Sean is a guy. He's that guy that you always see at the shows. You know who he is, and he knows who you are, but you never stop and talk to each other because you're so busy at your table drawing and talking to people that you have just enough time to get up and use the bathroom and get back to the table. So we were aware of his stuff, and he did a Nightmare Before Christmas piece that heavily influenced my Nightmare Before Christmas piece that I did. And when we were looking for people, Tina was like, what about Sean Langley? And I was like, what about Sean Langley? So we hit him up through Messenger, and we asked him if he'd be interested, and we got in contact with each other on the phone and spent about an hour on the phone talking, and he liked what we had sent him. We'd sent him the PDF of issue 1. He loved it, and he was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to be a part of this. And so he's been on board ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a pretty seasoned artist. He's got a lot of stuff at Source Point Press. Again, I should have a list of his stuff in front of me, but I don't, because I'm stupid. But yeah, he's on Instagram and he's on Facebook, and he's just a really phenomenal artist.
He is. So far, I'm going to be honest, the zombie Bob Ross is possibly my favorite thing I've seen all day today. You know, he definitely has a very realistic art style that is just gobsmacking, but you can tell he enjoys the dark side of drawing as well, and the mystical elements of things, which is, I think, fits perfectly for Roadkill Rampage.
Yes. We were very lucky to get him.
And so you've known him for a long time, but you don't actually know how long. Is that?
We've been aware of each other at shows, but we've only actually been friends probably for a little over a year.
Okay. Oh yeah. So new relationships leading to new art. Yeah, that's something that is happening a lot right now. Yeah. In all the industries, I've noticed a lot of my friends are like, "Oh, do you know this person?" And I'm like, "No, but I know this person." And they're like, "Oh," and it's nice to get everybody linked up and be like, "Hey, man, just let's all go together. Let's all do fun stuff."
Oh yeah. It's been really cool. Amon is local. You know, we live in the same city. We're in Cincinnati, Ohio. And Sean lives down in Gallipolis, Ohio, which is in southern Ohio, pretty much on the border of West Virginia. So it's about 3 hours. He lives about 3 hours away.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit of a journey for sure.
Yeah, he lives down here in Mothman country.
Mothman. I can't ask that question. That's going to reveal too many things, Thomas. So here's a question. You mentioned about this earlier, like you have specific shots that you have designed for different issues. As all writers and creators do, there's just certain things that you know and you feel, and like that's it. That's the thing. How many of those restrictions, we'll call it, did you have in just issue 2?
Maybe 5.
5. So he gets to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. The opening sequence, the first page was very, it's right out of my head. So that was perfect. He nailed that. And then the scene at the end of the book is pretty close to what I had in my head. And then the reveal when she walks into the place that she's at the end of the issue, and the big reveal there, that's pretty spot on. Yeah, so it might not even be 5, it might be 4.
So it sounds like the beginning and the end, really.
Yeah, the beginning, and then the point of enlightenment for her, and then the end. So yeah, maybe even 3.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. I'm so excited to actually read issue 2 instead of just looking at the amazing art that we have here. And in 24 hours, it amassed your entire goal, or it met your goal, which was $1,500. Now you're at 1875 with 27 days left to go. What are your tiers like? I know we always have stretch goals in these Kickstarters. So what are some of the stretch goals and some of the is it rewards, I guess, that you get as a backer?
The stretch rewards. The tiers we have variant covers. We have one by actually Eamon Hill did a variant cover for us, and a friend of ours from Toronto, Canada, Andre Alsh, did a variant cover. Sean Forney did another variant cover, and Steph Wilson did a variant cover, and there's a naughty and nice version of Steph Wilson's covers.
I think I've seen that.
What's that?
I said I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, you might have seen that one. And then we have the reward there for the $2,000 tier, which is the black and white trading cards of Ace and Tess. So those are going to be really nice trading cards. We like the pulled in horror on their faces, so we thought that would be very appropriate for some trading cards.
It definitely lands. I'll say that for sure. So as we scroll down here on the Kickstarter, you can, for the visual audience, of course, you can kind of see those same art pieces with the lettering attached. Not clear enough to read. It's great.
There were some words we had to blotch out.
Naturally, yes, because I feel like it reveals a lot on those first 4 pages, because the images alone tell a story, which is what really makes me excited to read it, as well as, picture's worth 1,000 words. So when you add words on top of a picture, it adds a whole new meaning and a whole new revelation, if you will.
Scroll back up to Amon's cover with the motorcycle. Yeah, right there.
Oh, wow. It's like a Ghost Rider vibe.
Yeah, it's that is a very pivotal character for the remainder of the series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lobo's an important character in the series.
Yeah. We'll see how fun Lobo is here. But pay particular attention to what's around him on the bike, and are
those spiders?
Sure.
Because I can only zoom in so much, but it's some kind of spider-like demon. Demon.
That's the question. What exactly is around him?
Mm-hmm.
So we will be addressing that in issue 2. We won't answer it, but we'll address it.
We won't answer it, but we'll make you question it. Steph Wilson and Carrie Ann, yes. So what else do you have? I know you've obviously got a lot of comics that you're working on all at once, because one creative is never working on one thing at a time. What else have you been working on? You got coming down the pipeline of Kickstarters and shows.
We are, as far as shows go, we're done with shows for the year. We've just decided to be smart about everything and take the winter off. Hope everything levels out more after the winter, and we've kind of started planning out our 22 schedule and keeping an eye on some of those shows. And we're working on the next issue of Roadkill Rampage, and I will very soon be, once I get the script for issue 3 finalized. Like I said, it's just about done. I just got to do one more read through and send it off to Sean. I'm going to start working on issue 3 of Pitter Patter, where we're going to be making a turn in issue 3 to a more, I'll say, broader appeal. For the book. It's a cutesy, brightly colored, kind of animated look. But in issue 3, at a point in the issue, things are going to change. So,
will the art style change as well?
A little bit, but more in tone than style, because I'm still drawing it. But yeah, we're making an adjustment in it that I don't want to reveal too much, but it's going to be a change, and going forward.
I get the sense it's going to be in the filmmaking world a lighting change more than anything, in the shading of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. I get it. I've been there a few times. I've watched what happens when someone turns a light off and it's like, oh, that is a shot right there. So yeah, if you're going to a more broad, okay. Anyways, I was thinking of all the colors and the tones.
More appealing to the adults, more adult humor, more adult themes.
Yeah.
So deeper down that old classic Looney Tunes vein, where a lot of the jokes were meant for the adults, but they went over the kids' heads.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, but maybe a little more ornery.
Love it. You just sold me.
Yeah. I the handcuffs have been taken off of me, so I can write what I want to write. Because obviously, doing Peanut Pudding and Jelly, it was very much a kid's book. And it's an autobiographical book, from chronicling the adventures of my brother and sister and I. But there was a lot of shit that happened when we were kids that I wanted to address, but wasn't allowed to because we had to stick to the kid-friendly theme, which I was fine with and had fun with. But then I started getting labeled as the kid comic guy, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I've always felt that I have more to offer, so I wanted to spread my wings a little more, which is why I wanted to do Roadkill Rampage. And then the pitter patter is so much fun for me to do, and it's so easy. But now having the handcuffs taken off me and being able to do it more adult themed and more, risque, that's just going to open up, the floodgates for me, and I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So it's Pitter Patter. That's the autobiographical.
The autobiographical was Peanut Pudding and Jelly.
Peanut Pudding and Jelly. Okay.
Jelly, yes.
Gotcha. So you talked about some stuff, that wasn't great about your childhood. Not to put you on the spot, but do you want to chat about any of that right now, or is it gonna ruin any plot details?
No. I grew up with a stepfather that was an alcoholic and a drug addict. For if we're being honest, and he was abusive to my mother. And he was a Jekyll and Hyde to us, so we never knew what we were going to get. And it was, traumatizing to a certain degree. And I put a lock on my bedroom door, and it's been there for a long time because, just the effects from that time, and I never took it off. And when I moved out of my mother's house, and I moved, over here with my wife, it was, I wanted to lock the door in the bedroom at night because, it's that residual stuff that's left over from childhood that still has its hooks in you. And I eventually got over it. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to address. The kids out in the world, and they're seeing the world through kids' eyes, and everything's enthralling and exciting because it's all new to them, and it's they're encountering wonders every day, every minute of every day. And then when they start going home, and they get a little more tense, and, apprehensive, and their moods change a little bit because when they don't know what they're going home to, they don't know how mom is, and I wanted to address that because I feel that kind of stuff is important for a lot of people. Want to shelter kids and tell cute, colorful, squeaky clean stories that are uplifting and encouraging, which is fine. But I also think that you can protect children too much.
Yes.
And they need to be made aware of, things aren't always rainbows and sunshine and white picket fences, but that's okay because, you get through it. It might scare the hell out of you, and it might hurt, and it cause a lot of physical and emotional pain, but you get through it. So that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to delve into, and I wasn't allowed to. So,
and now you can. See, I really love that. When you said things are all uplifting stories for kids and stuff, the first thing I thought of was Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what happens in Star Wars, it's always about the hope and the hope for the future and making things better. And, with hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you can see it, you'll never make it through the night. Is brilliant. And the way that they incorporate the light and the dark. But then, there's other stuff that you watch and you're like, wow, I wish my childhood was that squeaky clean. I really wish I didn't know what leather tasted like from having to take a beating every day.
Yes.
So I really enjoy that you're able to, I'm really happy that you get the chance to dive into that stuff. Because, we've all got our stuff. One question I have is, what age did you get over it, of the stuff that was really bothersome for you? Because I'm still working on it, and I'm 30.
Yeah, I don't know that I have.
Okay. Ooh, that makes me feel a lot better.
That's why I write about it. So it's still there. It's still there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely always there. That's what I've been working on a lot lately. I was born I have Tourette's and ADHD, and so growing up, I didn't know sarcasm was a thing. I thought my family were just assholes to me, until my roommate, who was my best friend, and we met at 11, or when I was 11, he taught me what sarcasm was. And it took me about a year to realize, oh, my family's trying to be funny. And then one day I started hitting them with sarcasm, and it's just never stopped. And I think they're like, man, we really fucked this kid up. But yeah, and that lingering part of, well, no one gives a shit about me, and everyone hates me, and everyone is going to treat me like shit. Those are things that I wake up every day and I have to actually murder those thoughts, as I say, because that's not getting me anywhere. That's just old programming. That's not helpful now. It wasn't helpful then. But when I need that programming, because I can use it to block everything out and channel things really well, it's beautiful. And then on the days where it's consuming my soul, I feel like Darth Vader and just hating myself. And it's all because, well, I mean, I internalize everything as everything's my fault, but it's all because I choose to be that way. Like, I choose to feel those things in that moment, and it's about taking that time out, and whether I take it and channel it into a writing piece, or I just yell for 30 seconds like I'm Darth Maul, just yelling Kenobi's name at the twin sons of Tatooine, either one, both kind of work. And some days I'm just like, I'm too tired to even feel upset, so let me just have some chocolate milk and go to bed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I have discovered, and Tina was very instrumental in helping me realize it, that stop living in the past, because you, for the specific reason of, you can't change what happened. But what you don't want to do is, you don't want your past to prevent your future, because your future is unwritten and it's up to you. But you don't want the fact that your past was, that you went through fucked up things, because everybody goes through fucked up things. But as good or bad as it was, or how you perceived that was, you were strong enough to get through it. And you don't give yourself enough credit for that. It sounds like you don't, and I don't. And once you realize that, once you realize that, it's like, ooh, wow, okay. I was strong enough to make it through all that stuff. Being 9 years old and having nobody to turn to, but you know what? We made it. We got through it.
Exactly.
And, at 40 and 45 years old, you're like, well, shit, I did make it through that. If I made it through that, I can make it through this, and and it kind of gives you, a little bit of hell yeah, fuck yeah, I can get through this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you can get through it at 9 with no resources, nobody to turn to, as an adult, shit, you got this.
Yeah. The whole you can't teach an old dog new tricks is just people who don't want to learn.
Yeah.
I just called my father out on this podcast because he says it a lot. But then I'll be like, oh, do this, and this. He goes, oh, wow, that was really easy. I'm look at that. You can learn new tricks, old dog. Yeah, man, I think that's awesome and inspiring, especially because I definitely don't give myself enough credit. I've won awards for filmmaking, and I just forget that I've won awards for those things because I'm always so focused on like, all right, whatever, I'm moving forward. I got to the next thing, nose to the grindstone, because that's kind of what I've known my whole life. What really saved me as a child more than anything was football. It allowed me to take all the rage and anger and the dark side, really, because when I played football, my intent was to inflict enough damage to try and kill on every hit.
Yeah.
Was that possible? Thankfully, no. But that was my mindset, was I'm going to hurt anybody who's not on my team because it's war. I'm going to war. And eventually that stopped serving me. And that and concussion stopped serving me. And, I had to find new outlets of energy. I played electric guitar and would just play thrash metal, which was very helpful. And I didn't realize how good I was until I stopped playing. And then I'm like, damn, dude, I used to play like 100. I have a list of like 100 songs that I could play that I just learned the tabs to. And then I took that and eventually became a filmmaker somehow. And it's all like, how did I get here? And the answer is, I really have no idea, but we're here now. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Wow, man, I really appreciate you going into that because that's, some deep stuff. I love a deep intellectual and emotional conversation. It's what life's about right there.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I know that you've gone, that based on our previous conversations and your posts and stuff that you carry a lot of shit with you. And I can relate. So just, keep that shit back there and as long as you don't let that prevent you from making your future a better, brighter thing, then you're ahead of the game. So.
Things you didn't know you were going to get on today's episode, kids. Inspiration.
Warm field.
Warm field. It is all sunshine and rainbows here. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then on the other side of the break, we're going to dive into all of the news. And before I've made it too far, to our audio listeners, if you find this live show on Facebook or Twitch or what is it called? YouTube. There it is. I have put the Kickstarter link in the comments for you to click and go support Roadkill Rampage 2. It has already met its $1,500 goal, which is insane and exciting because it happened in 24 hours. But there's a lot of stretch goals that you now can get as long as you donate. We'll be right back, and then we'll dive into everyone's favorite segment, the news.
I'm GW Amateur.
I'm Dina Marie.
I'm Sage Ia.
I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
Hey, I'm David Thompson.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mia.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hey there, this is Dave Adams.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Rose.
Jerome Conner here.
Hey guys, it's Josh Bauer.
Willow Schuyler.
I'm Cosplay Michael.
Abba. It's your boy Country.
I'm Ryan Permison.
And I'd like to ask you guys,
please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please
subscribe.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe to HWWS
WebTV.
Great bunch of people.
And don't forget to smash the bell.
Ring that bell.
Smash that bell.
Hit that bell.
Hit the bell to be notified.
Hit the bell to get notified of new shows
and videos.
You're going to want to do that, so do that soon.
So we can cross that 20,000 mark.
And get us to 100,000 subscribers.
To 1 million and 10 million and 100 million.
On HWWS
WebTV.
You really like it. I guarantee it. Thank you.
A small town coroner has to team up with her ex-fiance to save her town from a swarm of mutant honeybees. There's action, drama, humor, maybe even a flamethrower or two. There's definitely a ton of bad bee puns and a very unlikely Hawaiian-wearing hero. This classic sci-fi feature cheese fest, written and directed by Alicia Marie and starring local talent from the Emerald Coast, invites you to join our journey from conception to reception by visiting Linktree.com/Zombeez the movie to keep up with all the buzz and donate to GoFundMe. That's Linktree.com/Zombeez the movie. ZOMBEEZ the movie. All one word, no hyphens, no spaces. And we're back. There's no David Thompson this week, so I don't have to kiss his butt with a great intro. It's time for your favorite segment, kids.
What, the news?
Also, to be clear, I love kissing his butt because it allows me to flourish all the words I don't use in daily life. Coming up first on the news today of What the News, Hayden Christensen is going to be joining the cast of the Ahsoka Tano series. This comes exclusive from The Hollywood Reporter. And that's really all they said. There is no idea how it's going to be incorporated, and everyone lost their collective minds. But my favorite thing that happened was Rosario Dawson posted on Instagram a picture of the cover and the exclusive and of the app, of Hollywood Reporter app, and saying, "Oh, exclusive, Hayden Christensen returning to Star Wars with the Ahsoka series." And she says, and I quote, "Sky Guy, they know. See you soon. Snips." And then she deleted it within 30 minutes, which really brings me to the supreme leading topic question of the day. Rodney, do you think that the Hollywood Reporter leaked this information a little too early instead of Disney Plus Day in a couple weeks that it seems this was held for?
Oh, no, I think it was very calculating because now everybody's going to be, greatly anticipating, the Disney, the coming thing. So yeah, I think they know exactly what they were doing.
Now, where do you stand on the Hayden Christensen of it all? You're definitely of a different age bracket than I am. I was young during the prequel series, so everybody has different takes. I'll say this. I love all Star Wars movies. I will aggressively critique all Star Wars movies at the same time.
Yeah. I'm how do I say this? I am of the generation that saw Star Wars A New Hope in the movie theater at 9 years old. So to me, there is 2000 AD, 2000 BC. To me, it's we are currently at 46 ASW after Star Wars.
Yes, we are.
Because before that, I remember, my world was the Avengers and the Super Friends and Planet of the Apes and Star Trek reruns, and then one day we go to see the Star Wars movie, and everything changed. It just completely blew us out of the water. There was nothing around like it. Space monkeys and all these awesome ships and these soldiers in these metal suits or plastic or whatever. It was just so much for a kid to take in, and it was just so fantastical, and the whole thing about the way back in the day and the Clone Wars and a more majestic time and blah blah blah, just sprinkling that in and knowing that it's there, and then the whole Force, and it was very magical and mythical and mystical and entrancing. And then with the next, for me, the problem was that I had to wait so long for the next trilogy that I always say, because I remember very vividly, we went when we were VIPs. We got to go up to the balcony in the front row and got to sit down before everybody else, and the movie started playing. And 20 minutes into it, I looked at, and I had all my best friends with me, and I looked at my friend and I said, "Is it me or does this suck?" And he said, "It sucks." And then after watching the movie and talking about it on the ride back to the studio and this and that and the other, I finally came up with the conclusion that it was never going to meet my expectations, because I've been waiting for that movie since 1983. So having said that, as time went on and I went back and I watched those movies again, I liked them more. And I think people of my generation were a little too hard on Hayden Christensen. I think he did a fine job as far as the acting goes. And I'm excited for him on a personal level, because I think he took the brunt of all the negativity from the Star Wars fans. And I think this is a chance for him to redeem himself. And I'm excited. I can't wait to see how much of Anakin we get in the Ahsoka series.
Yes, and that's the real question here: is he a Force ghost, which has been it's been established, and it's a great way to keep Hayden Christensen along for the future, because he's not going to age that much in the Force, so you don't have to be like, well, he needs to look 80. But at the same time, we've established in The Mandalorian, I actually believe it's the only place that it's actually been established, a visual cutaway to a flashback, which I believe happened twice. I think it's happened twice. Definitely once in episode 9, The Marshal, there on Tatooine, and we see the second Death Star going down and how Tatooine celebrated, only to just get shot by the new gang in town, if you will, trying to seize power. So a lot of people are questioning, is he going to be a Force ghost? Are we getting a Clone Wars flashback? And I'm of the mindset that I don't know what we're going to get, but I want both, because a Clone Wars flashback means we get to see Hayden Christensen in the Clone Wars. We get to see potentially Ewan McGregor in the Clone Wars, as well as the actress that they choose to be Ahsoka, whether it is Rosario Dawson and they de-age her, or they get a younger actress to play the younger version, remains to be seen. But you can have those flashbacks sprinkled in every episode a little bit, like, oh, I learned this from this. And we've got Tamura Morrison still. He can go and be live-action Captain Rex, which is something that a lot of fans are really hopeful for. And then you can still have the Force ghosts of it all. Maybe Luke Skywalker shows up. And the question, which is, if they do Force ghosts, a lot of people are questioning, what's Ahsoka's relationship right now with Anakin and Vader? Does she know Vader's dead? Does she know Anakin turned to the light at the end? What do you think? Do you think that she knows that Vader in the end went back to the light before his death, or not?
I don't, for me personally, my perception is based on the way she acts, she doesn't know, because she's very adamant about protecting the child. So if she's protecting the child from something, so to me, that tells me that there. So I don't believe that she's aware.
I think she might know Vader died, but I don't think she's aware Anakin turned to the light, because that line of, it can, even the best of us, it can hurt, is like, there's so much weight behind it, which, brings about, a friend of mine pitched this idea that Ahsoka's defeated in almost every way. She can't figure out which way to go, because it just seems she's in a real Kobayashi Maru, if we're going to cross genres real fast. She is all hooded on her knees, and then where like the camera comes up close on her, and all of a sudden you hear, "Hey, Snips," and the camera repositions, and you see Anakin Skywalker there, Force Ghost, and he's there to be like, "Hey, man," and like give a nice inspiring speech and come together. And I was like, I don't know, that'd be weird that she would be accepting to him, not knowing that he ever turned back to the light. But if Luke Skywalker shows up to bring Anakin, basically to make her aware of Anakin's presence around her, as if he's always been there since he died, because that's his one. Was the idea of like, no, he did turn to the light and he has something he wants to say to you, and then that's when it comes in. I think that would blow everyone's minds. The only thing I know is in Dave Filoni, I trust.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say thank God for Filoni and Favreau.
Yes, because I got to be careful how I say this. I love the sequel trilogy because it's Star Wars. I hate the sequel trilogy because it's not a good trilogy. Yeah. And you can definitely tell there wasn't an end goal, which is very frustrating. Especially when you have some great choices by. I personally love The Last Jedi. It's my favorite. It's the only movie that when people complain, the Canto Bite scene, I'm like, okay. Do you like Last Jedi more than you like Attack of the Clones? No. I don't know how you can like Attack of the Clones more than Last Jedi, but okay. I personally love Last Jedi. I like that he deconstructed Star Wars a little bit, especially in the era we are in, because it hit us with twists that you didn't really expect, because you're kind of expecting one thing to happen based on everything that they were charting. It felt like, well, they're just going to follow the original trilogy, and then they changed some stuff, only for it to get retconned back later on, and certain characters get. I'm about to go on a rant, so I'm going to stop talking about the sequel trilogy, because I was about to get to the Dominic Monaghan of it all, and like that is when I get mad. He lost a bet to JJ, or he won a bet against JJ, and JJ put him in there, and all he had to do was put him in there to be a face. But no, he gave him lines that Rose could have said. I'm already there. We're moving on to DC fandom, a much, I was going to say a much happier topic, but I don't know if it really is, because there was a lot of great trailers. But let me rephrase that. There was a lot of great footage, but only like 2 trailers that were dropped that are a genuine full-on trailers that you can trust. That would be Peacemaker, Flash, and the Batman. And the Flash, I wouldn't even really call the Flash is a great teaser more than anything, and it's only, I believe, 80 seconds long, that teaser. Peacemaker looks great. Flash looks great with 2 Flashes, 2 Batman coming in, Supergirl. Black Adam looks fantastic with him electrifying. You saw that when you said the only thing you saw was the Black Adam trailer.
Well, I take that back. I did see Peacemaker, and I did see the Batman trailer. I just forgot.
Okay. Yeah, just forgot the Batman trailer, because we'll get to the Batman of it all, because that was the main event for sure. The behind the scenes look for Aquaman looked great. We got some announcements that Titan season 4 has been renewed. Young Justice season 4 is coming soon. Oh, just kidding. We're putting the 2 episodes on right now. You can go to HBO Max and watch it now. 3rd episode just dropped a couple days ago. I'm very excited. Love that show. They renewed Doom Patrol. They renewed 2 other things. They revealed something going on with Grant Gustin and the gold boots for the Flash, and he just does not look like he's having fun anymore, which is a bummer, to say the least. And there's a lot of stuff I've heard about what's going on behind the scenes with some actors on that series, so it's very intriguing what's going on there. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a super fun topic of DC fandom, but then there was a lot of stuff that happened that made us question. Blue Beetle, we got concept art of Blue Beetle, we got concept art of Batgirl. They officially announced the Static Shock movie. Here's why I say it's not a super fun sunshine and rainbows. There was nothing new that we haven't already heard about at this year's DC fandom, which has been the biggest critique of it all. Everything we saw, we already knew about. The only new reveals we got were, nothing. They were like, oh, Wonder Woman 3, and it's like, yeah, we already heard that one. Super Pets, we got footage of Super Pets. which I think is going to be the best DC film next year. I'm biased because I love kid movies. But let's talk the Batman, Rodney, because that's the main event that everybody came for. What do you, I could verbally I'll say I could verbally come all over this trailer as much as I wanted to, but I'll let you start, Rodney. What did you think of the trailer? What do you think about this interpretation of the Batman?
Emo Bruce Wayne kind of caught me off guard, but I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just that was the first thing that came to my head when I saw it, and I just kind of laughed at myself. But then I thought, well, that could be kind of cool, make him real young and real hip and into things. So I kind of dug that. And everybody, just like with Michael Keaton, there's like, oh, he's not blah blah blah. I think he looks fine. I just have a feeling that this is going to catch a lot of people off guard, and it's gonna finally be a good movie. I don't know if that's more hope or just kind of what my gut feeling on the trailer. Colin Farrell playing the Penguin?
Playing the Penguin, yeah.
Yeah, that looked pretty intense. Looked like a lot of potential. I love the scene where he's upside down in the car and you see Batman walking. That was
terrifying.
Yeah, that was brilliant cinematography, and I'm like, oh yeah, I am so all over this. But I kind of felt like a kid, like, ooh, when can I go see this? When can I go see? So I don't know if that puts me in the minority. I don't really care. You asked me how it felt, and I'm looking forward to it.
As someone who's very plugged in with the nerd realms right now, you are not alone. Everyone is losing their minds. My take, since I saw the very first trailer at last year's DC Fandom, this will be the very best, most definitive Batman live action that we've ever got. And I've been saying it since day one, and people are like, I don't know if that's true, blah, 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 blah. I was saying stuff like that before the trailer even came out because I saw what Matt Reeves did with the last two Planet of the Apes movies. Yeah. Just gobsmacked me to death. I liked the one with James Franco. I was like, it's good. They focused on the apes more than the humans, which I kind of really dug. And then as it went on, it's just less and less humans, and Matt Reeves crushed that. And I've seen Pattinson and some stuff that made me really question his mental health. As an actor, I know that I'll take certain things of myself and put it into a character. So sometimes you play with something very dark from your past and you bring it out to life on screen. And he seems to really love those psychotic, on the edge of psychosis characters, especially after seeing some of the stuff he did in The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe. I've been all in since they announced everything, but these trailers just... I feel like this is going to be the Batman movie that it wins big in some awards just because of the approach that they take to it. I love what Nolan did. He made it very grounded, and I didn't know, I can't believe I'm saying this. I thought what he did was dark and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like it's just a little too grounded. And then Batman versus Superman came out, and I was like, oh, okay, no, at least he had bright visuals going on in there. And this movie seems to be a blend of both of those things. It's got some very bright, light visuals and then very dark, grim horror movie, Western vibes, the red hints at times, the way that they're utilizing... I really love that last shot never once showed him walking right side up. It's all upside down, just adding to the eeriness of it all. I really think that, let's see, this comes out in March. So, okay. Yeah. So the Oscars after, it has a chance to win Best Cinematography, I think, just based on everything we've seen so far. And in terms of the plot, I really don't know if I'm going to watch any more trailers because... so far, I have no idea what the plot is. My guess, that's not true. I have an idea, but it's, the Riddler played by Paul Dano, who's going to abso-fucking-lutely crush it. He's clearly playing with the Batman, and it's based in year 2. So I have this feeling that he's slowly revealing that, oh, the Batman's not this good guy. He's actually maiming people. Sure, they're bad people, but that's still putting you above the law. And so I will be the mirror that I have to be to prove how unrighteous you really are. And I think that by the end of this movie, there might be a new rule for Batman that he's not going to maim anyone. He'll just break an arm or a leg and not leave you permanently damaged. I think that's what he's been doing in this first year, is leaving people permanently damaged. The way he punches those proto-Jokers and that fight scene, and the fact that Selina Kyle runs up and she's like, oh my God, like she's horrified, that makes me super excited.
Yeah.
He's going to unleash a little bit of vengeance. So, any other thoughts on the Batman? I'm glad we don't have to watch the trailer because I don't know if my mind could handle another viewing right now.
Selina Kyle being played by
Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz. Hey now. Sexy.
Yeah, when they announced her, all I could think was, that's the perfect Selina Kyle casting you've ever had. Like, I loved Halle Berry being Catwoman. I didn't like the movie. Didn't like what they did with it. That's saying a lot for movies, comic movies from 2003 and 4, if I'm being honest. Except for Spider-Man 2. That was great. But then when they showed her and she walks up and she's got that haircut, dude, it's just ripped right out of the comics. And it's just so it's a chef's kiss. I'm speechless on how good that interpretation looks.
It looks like a Jason Pearson cover come to life.
It does. There's actually when she and Batman are standing there on this open construction building, and it's the skyline, if you will, and the cape is starting to flow. Somebody put a side-by-side comparison of the comic cover that's from, and it is... Batman was my introduction to comics in 92 when the Batman the Animated Series came out. I was, I think, 6 months old when that premiered. But I remember watching that aggressively growing up to the point that I knew more about Batman than any other character alive until about age 6, when stuff started shifting in Power Rangers and they started bringing on the movies, and it had expanded as much as the Batman had expanded to that point, because I was so deep into that series, which was made for kids. And what a wonder, because my God, was it so dark for a kid's show.
Yeah, it was, but it was great.
It was fantastic. And this will actually be our last point on this topic, because it is Batman related here, and it was announced at Fandom. Batman the Caped Crusader has J.J. Abrams, and the team from the Batman the Animated Series, Tim... I forgot his last name for a second. Anyways, it is going to bother me, and it'll randomly pop in my head. But those guys, they were talking about, and there's a quote that it's basically the Batman the Animated Series, but it's not Batman the Animated Series because that was made for TV, and there were a lot of things they really couldn't do, such as the violence and the tone of things, that they're excited to do on this new project because it's all for HBO Max. It's right there, brain. Tim.
I know. I keep wanting to say Tim Vigil. Tim, what the hell is it?
Bruce Timm. That's what Bruce Timm.
Thank you.
We remembered the last name, because then I almost said Tim. I almost said Tim Burton a couple times. That no, that was live action. Yeah, made by Bruce Timm. I don't know when that's releasing, but that looks abso-fracking-lutely fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Moving on. back to the Marvel realm of the theaters. Look at that. We actually have a news segment in all three of our main universes here. We have a DC story. That's probably because David's not here. We have a Star Wars, and we got two Marvel ones. This first one is that Marvel shifts the damn film slates again. And let's be honest, we're all sad about it. I'm going to run everyone down as to the new dates and the reasons why. Which the reasons why is going to take less time than the new dates. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was destined to premiere March 25th, 2022, just a couple of weeks after the Batman. God damn, March would have been amazing. Now moved to May 6th, 2022, which created a huge domino effect, going all the way down their entire film slate, except Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Thor Love and Thunder moves from May 6th to July 8th, 2022. Black Panther Wakanda Forever moves from July 8th to November 11th, 2022. The Marvels moves from November 11th to February 17th, 2023. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania moves from February 17th to July 28th, 2023. The largest gap of all of these, and the reason being, like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is not moving its date of May something 2023. Two untitled Marvel movies were removed from the schedule entirely. One was removed from the schedule entirely. That was October 6, 2023. The other spot was July 28th. That will now be Ant-Man and the Wasp, as I said. And then a third untitled Marvel movie was set for November 10th, 2023, moved up to November 3rd, 2023. Now, I know what everyone's thinking. Oh, my God, the pandemic had this. The IATSE strike had this. Maybe, but no. They're saying it's just where all these productions are kind of at. It was a domino effect of some of them needing to move, and because they own all the slots anyway, they just shifted it all back so that each movie can be made to the best of its ability. I don't remember who has said this. It's a lot. But release dates are... a release date is nothing more than a constraint on creativity and a constraint on art is what a lot of creators say. And I gotta say, not wrong. Also got to say, sometimes that deadline really does help force that creativity out. And it's really just a domino effect of all the, a couple of productions needed a little bit more time, and some were so deep in it that they didn't need time, but they'll take the extra time because it's always nice to have a little more time. I'm going to stop saying time now. They also moved the Indiana Jones 5 a year, I want to say, maybe 6-8 months, something along those lines. I don't even think that's filming right now. Do you have any thoughts on the Marvel shifts, Senior Rodney?
Not really. It's only a couple of months on each movie, so that doesn't bother me. There's going to be plenty to keep us occupied until then, and yeah, I mean it's so nominal for me. It's not a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. Take your time, make the best movie possible. I don't want a bunch of shit because you thought you had to get it out, at a specific time. Take your time, do it right. I'm good.
Yes. The only one that I'm upset about is Thor, Love and Thunder. Not for the reasons people are going to assume. I know they're going to think, well, you love Thor. You wanted to watch it then. I'm actually mad because May 6th is 11 years to the day that Thor 1 came out. And to have been able to go into Thor Love and Thunder and get what I think is going to be the definitive version of Thor. And there's a chance that Thor Odin's son doesn't make it out of this movie. I really think there's a chance for that. I'm fucking hoping not, but there's a chance. I gotta keep my expectations real that it might happen. To be able to go on the same day in an 11-year span and be able to walk out of the movie and have such contradictory statements about the movie. Because when I walked out, people were like, oh my God, that was amazing. What did you think? And I was like, could have used more Thor. And they're like, what do you mean? He was in the whole movie. I was like, he was in fucking flannel for 30%, like well over most of that movie. And as much as I love the 90s and long hair, beard, and wearing flannel, shout out to my father for that, I really wanted more Thor in the suit beating the shit out of people with Mjolnir. You know what I'm saying? My mom got me this for my 30th birthday because she knows I'm never growing up. It's a Thor, it's a 1/3, I think, sized replica of Mjolnir. So that's my only bummer because I know I'm going to walk out of this super excited. Taika Waititi is my exact flavor of storyteller. Everything he's made, I just love. I've been a fan since Flight of the Conchords. But let's get to something. We'll wrap up our news segment with something that's very topical on today's show, and that is the world of comics and reimbursement. Back in March and or April, it can't be both. Back in, it was April, Ed Brubaker showed up, what is the word? Was a guest on the Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, and he discussed a little bit about how he feels seeing his characters be interpreted and carried on. And I don't want to dive deep into it, but basically it's a weird feeling because he doesn't get paid for those characters that he created out of his mind based on the way contracts work, and he's not compensated the same way as, say, the writers of that movie are when he was the writer of the comic. And a lot of people have, been really upset about that. And it's been a kind of a conversation for the past few years. But here is what is the most important part of this quote. And this is the sunshine and rainbows of the day. He said, a lot of other people chimed in about it. It was nice to see the outpouring of support from all the fans. All I kept thinking was, just go buy my other books. After I was on that podcast, all the Reckless books, all of me and Sean's books for several weeks on Amazon were on the top 10 graphic novels. I was like, wow, that was nice. People really did kind of be like, what can we do? They can't pay me for what Disney is not paying me. What can you do? You can support people's original work. And I will give this entire segment over to you, Rodney, because you are the comic creator with original work trying to get paid right now.
I'm all for it. When I found out that what was it that they only, the writers for all the stuff that's been adapted up to this point are only getting $5,000? Was that what the amount was?
It was a very minuscule, tiny amount, and I don't recall what it was off the top of my head now.
And for me, when I boil away all the fat on this topic, this is why I've always dabbled in the independent market. I can't sit here and say that I would never. I don't want to work for Marvel or DC. Hell yeah, there's a Spider-Man story in me that I'd like to get out, and there's definitely an Avengers arc that I'd like to do. But for that would be a huge shot in my arm for my career, which would lead to more exposure, more shows, and blah 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 blah. But my stuff is my stuff, and whatever comes of it, if the clouds open and the sun shone down upon me, and Hollywood came calling, it's mine. And I was in Detroit at the Motor City Con, and I was talking to Kyle Baker, who's a phenomenal artist and cartoonist. He's worked for Marvel and DC and Warner Brothers and Walt Disney, and he's worked for everybody. And he told me, and he was doing a pinup of Peanut Pudding and Jelly for me that we put in the trade paperback. And he said, and I asked him, I said, can we use this? Can we promote this? He says, absolutely. He says, promote it everywhere you can. If you like, tag me. Pimp me out, whore me to your advantage, because these are your characters. He says, I've worked for all of these people. I've worked on the X-Men. I've worked on the New Mutants, Deadpool, Titans. I've done all of that stuff. And he says, you know what they all have in common? I said, what? He says, I don't own any of them.
Yeah.
All of the stuff that I created for them, I got paid what I got paid, and that is it. And I'm lucky if I get comp copies for Marvel. And everybody knows that DC is much better about that than Marvel's ever been. But it just really kind of struck home with me, and I was like, well, yeah, that's kind of why, I've always dabbled in the indie stuff, because I don't want to give my stuff to Marvel and DC. I don't want them owning, like they did with Marvel did with Milestone back in the 90s. Typical
DC,
DC,
exactly,
typical corporate move. They bought it and then they put it on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a development deal in Hollywood. Well, they see somebody coming along. That happens all the time to get people out of their way. They'll give you a development deal, and then you develop it, and they sit it on the shelf. It stays there for 20 years. You get $600,000 for your development deal, and you put your heart and your soul into it, and it goes nowhere. But you got paid your $600,000. So I'm all for the creators' rights and the creators getting what they deserve and what they've earned for creating. But as we all know, Hollywood and the land of sunshine and rainbows is built on the backs of folks like us. So
yes, very much so. I have no comments. I agree with everything you just said. Pay the damn people. Damn it, Disney, pay the people.
Well, it would be. I would kind of entertain the thought of taking the sides of them if there wasn't so much damn money being generated. And it's not like they can't afford it.
Exactly.
It's like the whole Warner Brothers thing is with Schuster and the creators of Superman.
Yes. What's his name?
Joe Schuster and I can't think of the other guy. Anyway, they were poor and destitute, and there were all these movies out, and all this hundreds of millions of dollars being generated for Warner Brothers Studios, and they were living in abject poverty as old men. That's horrific. That should not be allowed to exist, but it does.
It does.
If now's the time, because of social media and stuff like that, for us to get a little bigger piece of the pie, why not? Go for it. I support it and back it 1,000%.
As do I. Ladies and gentlemen, that's actually the end of the news, which means we've reached kind of the end of the show. Rodney, where can everyone find you on social media?
Let's see. You guys can find me on Instagram at Rodney_Fyke. You can find me at Rodney Fyke Art on Facebook. Hazzum has the Hazzum.com, HAZZUM.com is the website where all the books are. You can find me on Thursday Night Throwdown and Friday Night Draw, 8 o'clock Eastern with Sean Forney, where we do draw and talk all things nerdy for about an hour and a half. I do a morning stream on Art of Rodney Fyke Arts, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. And that's where I am.
And
right now we're on Kickstarter with issue 2 of Roadkill Rampage. We are live, we are funded, and we're trying to get funded even more and reach all those stretch goals we've got out there for everybody.
Yes. You can find my dumbass on the social medias at Linktr.com/TCRochesterACT. That is TCRochesterACT. Recommendation for the audience from me: go watch Dune. It's amazing. I saw it on HBO Max. When I can afford it, I'm going to IMAX because that thing was fucking amazing. But I want to thank you, Rodney, for joining me today and talking with me and diving into deep intellectual and emotional stuff from personal lives all the way to the stuff we love to talk about.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
I can't wait to have you back on. And when David comes back on, I'm sure this would be ballooned to a 3-hour episode. But I love you, David. We'll get back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. As always, I'm Thomas Carter Rochester. Thank you for joining episode 70. Wow. Of Lights, Thunder, Action. We will see you